Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'll take roll call for the budget hearing. Mr. Fullerlove.
Here.
Mr. Dominic.
Here.
Mrs. Lyon.
Here.
Mr. Kaber, absent. Mrs. DeBlock.
Here.
Mr. Helm is absent. And Mrs. Cleveland.
Okay, ready? Budget hearing.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our official budget adoption hearing. The budget is unchanged from the tentative budget that was presented next month. The notes that I would give you is we have attached the official state form, which has been on display for the required 30 days here. The outlook, if you will, and we can't enter it yet because we're not in possession of the money, but after we have this month's state aid, the prior year taxes, which usually come in early, they always come in early in June, a portion of them, and then our ESSER reimbursements, which will likely be after July 1st. You can add basically 1.5 million in revenue to the bottom line. So essentially, what you see today, yes, has a deficit budget, but once all the revenue comes in, the audited numbers will more than likely be in the black, probably to the tune of about $500,000. Okay. Any questions? We did not have anyone come to view the budget. I was excited and ready to talk, and no one came.
Went down another year. Have to, next year,
Publicize it a little bit more. Come on, everyone wants to talk.
You find somebody and they'll show up with a list of questions.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Any questions?
Nothing here.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended budget and adjourn the budget hearing. 2 for 1.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. A motion was made by Mr. Dominic, second by Mrs. Lyon, to approve the amended budget and to adjourn the budget hearing as presented. Mr. Dominic.
Yes.
Mrs. Lyon.
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock.
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland.
Yes.
Mr. Fullerlove.
Yes.
Motion carried. I'll now
One call.
do roll call for the regular meeting. Mr. Fullerlove.
Here.
Mr. Dominic.
Here.
Mrs. Lyon.
Here.
Mr. Kaber, absent. Mrs. DeBlock.
Yes.
Mr. Helm, absent. Mrs. Cleveland.
Yes.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Adoption agenda. Dr. Johnson, is there any changes to the agenda?
There are 2 items that will be changed tonight. Number 1, you can remove item 11.05 from the agenda.
Okay.
And there is 1 resignation that we will be adding to the employment section, and that has already been added online.
Okay.
Other than that, we are good.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made by Mrs. Lyon, seconded by Mr. Dominic, to approve the agenda as amended. Mrs. Lyon,
Yes.
Mr. Dominic,
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland,
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock,
Yes.
Mr. Fullerlove.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Recognition of members of the audience. We have no one sign up. Over to Tiger Talent.
I think we have a couple of people. Becky, would you peek around the corner and see if we had a couple of people that were going to join us? While I unwrap our present here.
Got a couple people coming in.
They're coming.
Coming in from Lindsay's door.
Good job. Secret.
Let's see.
Drum roll.
Drum roll, yeah, until we get some visitors that were coming in, so. Somebody
They
around.
must have stopped at the cheese.
Oh, snap.
Yes, that one.
Do you want the board to sign?
Yeah, but
Oh, might as well put us to work.
Yes,
Actually, one more
there's
thing.
Becky with the rules again.
I know, I'm so bossy.
Taskmaster, get it done. Sign it.
Yeah, because it's here, so it's.
Five to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey.
What's up, dude?
Take a seat over here, there you go. How are you, sir? Good to see you, good to see you.
okay, well, it's great to have so many visitors tonight for our installment of our June installment of Tiger Talent. The Tiger Talent Award in a nutshell is just who are the people that we would want any prospective employee, any prospective parents, students, etc. Who would we want them to talk to say, Sherrard is a place I want to be. You know, this is a good place. They've got good people working for them, serving the kids, serving the community. So what could we do? This month's Tiger Talent is our school resource officer, Deputy Mike Mendoza. So he was under the assumption that he was going to be presenting this evening on the school resource officer program. That's why 3 of his bosses are here this evening. So, surprise, Mike. And with that, I will turn it over so you can hear all the wonderful things people talk about you. This month, we want to introduce our Tiger Talent Award winner as School Resource Officer, Deputy Mike Mendoza with the Rock Island County Sheriff's Department.
I could not think of anybody who was more deserving than Mike. I see the effort that he puts into every one of the kids that walks through the door, the commitment that he has, the heart that goes into everything. It's a rarity, but he is a picture of all of that.
So, I mean, we talk about school culture, positivity, and kind of what Sherrard's about. I think Mike Mendoza is one of the first people that you think of.
He does an excellent job of connecting to all of the kids, and I think that he is a reason that so many of the discipline issues that would happen because kids like to act up. I think a lot of them don't act up because they know that he's one of the people that they usually end up talking to, and they would disappoint him, and they respect him enough that they don't want to disappoint him.
He's able to talk to any kid at any time, even kids who might be opposed to talking with anyone because they're upset, because they're sad, because they might be untrusting at first. It's amazing how much kids trust him.
Mr. Johnson came over to walkie and was like asking him to come help a student take a shower. And Mike didn't even hesitate.
He's had our medals class do some stuff with the Rock Island Emergency Services team, their SWAT team, so we've made some stuff for them, which has been pretty cool.
The description of the school resource officer that I have in my mind, he just goes way beyond that. Like, there's not even a job description that would say what he does for our district.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we've just got like a cop in here patrolling the halls when he's around.
He doesn't wear his uniform, but he always just his clothes, and his door is always open. So any student always will have an open chair for you. Well, not always, because there's usually like 15 kids crowded in his room because everybody loves him. But you can always sit down with him, and I mean, I've cried to him before, I've laughed with him before.
I was a sophomore, and I was super shy, and I didn't talk very much, this is before I started wrestling. And I literally ate lunch with him, and that's the gym too, slowly over time. We had a big old group that came in there, and like ever since then, we're just, any problems, we talk to each other. If he needs any help with anything, he comes to me, and like our relationship's grown from there. Like it'll be different next year, not having, be able to walk the halls out of our stand on it and have him there.
The kids see him everywhere. He's one of the coaches for the bass fishing team. I mean, that's, pretty much all volunteer. He takes care of everything, boats himself, organizing the kids, making sure that he's got connections to get them gear. It's really incredible how much he puts in. He's a huge fan of the wrestling program, and he's always helping out with that. He's always encouraging kids, pulling them off to the side, giving them pep talk after a tough match. It's great to see. You'll look up and you'll see him in the stands at basketball and football games. And kids know that he's dedicated to the school and he is here for them. And they see that far beyond school hours.
It's been a lot to have, like, somebody at school that, like, sees everything and does everything to come and take his time out of his day to come support.
I met him probably when I was a freshman. I didn't really talk to him because he was like, you know, it's resource officer. So it's like, he's kind of scary, but it's like, once you get to know him, he's a good chill dude, and he wants the best for everybody. As a coach, he's a good leader.
He did a lot for us. He pretty much got everything ready, set it up, took control.
He's got a lot of connections, and he makes sure that he gets the best stuff for us.
So everyone mostly knows about my dad. Mendoza was just there. Like, he'd give me checkups, like, he'd check in on me, and he was there. He showed up for me anytime he could. He is my go-to person if I have a problem. I go and talk to him.
He's more of
Another counselor.
Yeah, another counselor.
Definitely means a lot to me to know that he doesn't have to. Like, he could just be that officer that just is there for discipline only, but he really likes to build relationships with everybody and have good bonds with all the students.
He has impacted my high school career because he's just like the most understanding and kind person like in this entire building. And every student loves him. Like, everybody loves him. He's the nicest human here.
Seems like he really enjoys his job, even though it's gotta be on top of it. Gotta know what's right, what's wrong. He knows what he does, so he does it good.
He's such a genuine person and never fails to put a smile on all of our faces.
He's always willing to find videos of me and Navy falling over each other to send to Mr. Adams to post on the Shark Strength Instagram so we can get embarrassed.
Mike's a goofball. I mean, he likes to have a good time. I mean, he's in a job that's very serious, whether it's with the sheriffs or with us. He deals with a lot of very serious, significant things, but he also understands what's about life, what's most important. And so he's always lighthearted, ready to crack a joke. You know, me and him, we call ourselves Starsky and Hutch. Not sure which one's Starsky or Hutch, but we always have kind of friendly competitions about who can crack the case. And
He does usually participate in my volleyball and has a team. He talks a lot of trash to the other teachers, which I enjoy. I'm not on the team, so he doesn't get to talk any trash to me, but I officiate it, and he does talk crap during the games, trying to get the calls to go his way, but he's supposed to play better.
I would just like a way to know who I make a plea to and how to make a plea that we just get to have Mike permanently. Because I can't imagine anybody else in that role. Like, I don't want anybody else in that role. He's perfect for us. And I don't share with other districts. And I don't want our kids to have any different experiences than all the good he brings to us. They have become so spoiled by the individual that he is. He means the world to Caitlin. Anytime you see someone that cares about your kids as much as you do, it makes you step back because that's not common.
Thank you, Mendoza, for always being there for me. I have always just appreciated everything that you've done for not only me, but my friends, and I will truly miss you this next year.
Thank you, Mendoza, truly, for everything you've ever done for us. We are so grateful to have you here at Sherrard, and all of us seniors will truly miss you so much.
So I want to say thank you for everything, and that you've been there since my sophomore year. And I hope whatever happens in the future, we still get to see each other and talk.
Mike, appreciate you. I love you.
Thank you, Mike, for everything that you do for each one of our kids. Thank you for what you do for my kids. There's not a single kid that walks those halls that you haven't touched in some way and made a difference of. They might not realize it now, but they will someday.
I'm always going to catch bigger fish than you.
We should probably do some outtakes. Okay, so these are the outtakes.
I mean, if Mike talks about morning hoops on Friday, that is probably a lie. I would say that he's probably a pretty good fisherman. When it comes to basketball, I do not let him fool you. He's at the age right now where he's maybe not moving quite as quick.
We're both, I mean, very talented. No, we're not. We're obviously the worst ones there, but if he wasn't there, then I wouldn't have anybody to guard in varsity or something. Also, it's a great matchup.
One of the great things about Mike is if you take him hunting, he couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat. You're in no jeopardy of losing a bird to this guy's shooting, that's for sure. And speaking of water, when it comes to fishing, I mean, that guy can flog the water and scare the fish away more efficiently than anybody I've ever seen before.
What's the question again? I wouldn't be able to get up in the morning without Mike Mendoza.
He always shows these pictures of fish but he never actually shows the process of him catching it. It's just random pictures, somebody else is catching them for him out there, but he does believe that he's a master fisherman.
I feel weird if I just said romance right now.
I don't know that he can really catch a cold, to be honest with you. But he tries hard, so we give him an A for effort.
He's a bad fisherman? But he's a good fisherman. Isn't he like our coach?
I think today we're gonna get a pretty good roast beef sandwich. Some chips. I didn't know it was coming. It showed up.
They came back to the house, and Matt looks at him and goes, Mike, why is the back side of like your shirt and your shorts, like why are you covered in dirt? Caleb goes, because he slammed his body against the wall because he thought my pig was going to attack him. He was dead honest that he was going to get murdered by a pig at the block farm. Here's the weird things about Mendoza to me. I have no idea what his kids' real names are. Or his grandson. Little man. Yeah, both of them. I have no idea how Sam puts up with him. She has because if she just wants to sleep in, like he makes her get up and go to breakfast on Saturday mornings at like 6 a.m. Shut up, Mendoza. Leave people alone. And then he really does need to pick up on his pickleball game because it's kind of embarrassing.
I would say he's scared. Maybe a big old marshmallow.
He's getting a little too sentimental. He's alright.
I'll cut her on this side. So on behalf of the students, staff, administration, and Sherrard Board of Education, I would like to present the Golden Apple to bring in front of your coworkers so they can covet it. And I thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you. You're one of the good ones. Thank you. Thank you. And to all of our guests, if you would like to stay for a riveting public meeting, you're more than welcome. However, if you'd like to take off, no one would hold that against you. So, but again, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Was it a surprise, Mike, or did somebody let it out?
Yeah, I wasn't dressed up in my pickleball clothes. I got out of Hot Works because we were supposed to go to Hot Works after this, so win-win, I guess.
Night's not over, man.
So, well, again, thank you everyone for coming. We very much appreciate it. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. But we're done embarrassing Mike. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Okay, hard to top that with the consent agenda, but would be.
That was really good. Thank you. I was worried it was
So.
so much fun. Mendoza, your cup. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, is there any questions on the consent agenda items as presented?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made by Mr. Dominic, seconded by Mrs. DeBlock to approve the consent agenda items as presented. Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Lyon?
Yes.
Mr. Fullerlove?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Over to you, Dr. Johnson.
Good evening, everyone, again. First item that we have is the final piece of the Sherrard Junior Senior High roofing that still has the rock ballast on it. So, and this is also the part that we've had a significant amount of leaks from, namely the junior high gym. So we're going to finally knock this out, hopefully, and get that done. The bidding process was run through our architects. As all roofing projects are, the initial estimate was for $340,000. I have included the entire bid packet in there so that you can see the recommended winner, which was Economy Roofing at $12,000 under the estimated cost. So for $328,400, that is the low base bid. Also from Economy, we had Jim Giese Commercial Roofing, R.A. Oldine from Kewanee, and Sterling Commercial Roofing from you guessed it, Sterling, also submitted bids, and those are on the bid tab sheet, if you wanna see how that shakes out. You can see that most of the bids are, I guess they're equidistant, if you will. So it's not like anybody was really, really far out of line. I think it was Economy at the bid meeting said that they were going to try to start before the fall break. So initially, this was all geared when it was bid, and the specs were released to try to get this done over the fall break with maybe a couple days here or there of prep work or cleanup. But if they are able to get to it before school gets back in session, they're certainly going to do it. So that'll probably be weather dependent if they can keep ahead of their other jobs, obviously. So it is my recommendation to the board that you approve the low base bid of $328,400 for Economy Roofing.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the roof bid from Economy Roofing at $328,400 as presented.
So move.
Is there a second?
A motion was made by Mr. Dominic, second by Mrs. Lyon, to accept the roofing bid from Economy Roofing as presented. Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Mrs. Lyon?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item we have is calendar change that we've been talking about for a couple months now. Columbus Day is a holiday in the contract, and in order to streamline things, we are going to declare Columbus Day a non-attendance day, so essentially it would be another day on the end of the fall break, and then that day will be added at the end of the year in May, and actually it does balance the semesters a little bit better if I recall. So that is my recommendation to approve the calendar as amended that you see on board docs.
When was it changed? When did the calendar change? I'm looking, so I printed it off like a month ago because I've been doing Google Calendar with all the people, but so I was trying to find a difference and it looks the same.
Well, we won't be able to officially change until the vote.
Okay, so what's on board docs?
It would
still
be my
the same?
guess that Jeanette got it up, Miss Finch got it up there quick, knowing what the timing was gonna be in June, because she's done, her year end, her work year ends tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe today.
So today is actually her last day.
Yeah.
But I will, depending on what the vote is, I'll change it through the state, and I can probably get it taken care of with one of the other IT people in the summer.
So the one that's attached to board docs is the accurate one. It should list Columbus Day.
14th.
The 14th.
Yep.
But it's not, is it already marked on yours? Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, because I think Jeanette probably put it up there.
The original calendar.
But it's not
that I started on.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're basically putting it at the end of the, versus how we always
So
used
the
to count it
20th.
as a.
Yeah, the 20th.
Definitely, yeah, because it was part of the,
Yeah, it was
break,
always used to
so-
be part of like, kind of like baked into the fall break, and this one's it's
Yeah.
at the end. So,
So it's just an additional day at the end of the
First
school
week on
season.
Monday would be fine,
yeah,
because it's the second
yeah,
Monday,
so,
just the way the calendar.
yeah, it just,
The way
it
the
falls
calendar-
way late this year
Yeah.
compared to normal. Because, yeah, we'd always just bake it in as a non-attendance day,
Yep.
so, okay.
What is November 5th?
Election day, which you have to take, which you have to take off and we have to make up in the state of Illinois.
Yes. And October 4th?
That's just the start. That's just the start.
Start of the traditional start of the
Is
break.
that on a Friday?
There'll be conferences.
Every day
There's always
conferences.
and then-
Wednesday,
Oh,
Thursday
sorry.
conferences.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Actually, the calendar is exactly the same, it's just that additional extra day added on to the October break.
Yeah.
And then the extra day at the end of
Yeah.
the school season, yeah.
And it's been so long since this was actually approved the first time, because we're always.
Yeah.
We're 2 years ahead.
So, that's probably why.
Any other questions on the calendar or have it up? Okay. Hearing that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended 2024-2025 calendar as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's just back.
You two are doing great.
Keep it moving.
A motion was made by Mrs. Lyons, seconded by Mr. Dominic, to approve the amended 2024-2025 calendar as presented. Mrs. Lyon?
Yes.
Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock? Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the next item that we have is the resolution of payroll dates. This list follows the 26 pay period schedule of the past. So there is nothing out of the ordinary every other day.
Questions, anybody? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution of payroll dates for the 2024-2025 school year as amended.
So moved.
Is there a second? Oh, we're gonna get stars in lunch again.
Okay. A motion was made by Mr. Dominic, seconded by Mrs. DeBlock, to approve the resolution of payroll dates for the 2024-2025 school year as amended. Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Lyon?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item that we had 3 bids submitted for the driver's education vehicle. And the low bid was Essig Motors for a spec sheet here. A Chevrolet Equinox, front-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive. And it is, the color is radiant red, so I don't know exactly what that is. But I do know
I hear red.
between the time they submitted the bid on May 23rd until now, they actually sold that.
Oh, shoot.
So Essex was hustling yesterday when I called and said, hey, guess what? Tuesday, you're the big winner on the bid. And she's like, oh boy, we sold that. Let me see if I can find one that, and they found one that literally matches the specs down to the color. So I was like, I guess I could have told you the color wasn't real important unless you got a purple one out there, but I didn't figure so. So they were able to track one down that is exactly as bid. So it's a 2024 Chevy Equinox front-wheel drive for a grand total, tax, title, and license, everything, $31,631.99. So it will be. We also received a bid for a Chevy Trailblazer and a Ford Escape. Those were the 2 losing bids, I guess you would say. So, any questions on that?
No.
Our last one is a 20, I can't remember, it's lasted us a decade, so we're gonna shoot for getting a decade out of this one too, so.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the bid from Essig Motors in the amount of $31,631.99 as presented.
So moved. Second.
A motion was made by Mrs. DeBlock, seconded by Mrs. Lyon, to accept the bid from Essig Motors as presented. Mrs. DeBlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Lyon?
Yes.
Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. The next item we have is a follow-up to the junior senior high courtyard. This is just an informational item, no vote is required. I did attach a sheet with some options that we can get to. I think everybody last time agreed that it's a great idea. It's just a simple, it's the arithmetic. Can we dedicate that much of our resources to one area, if you will? So the first thing that I did was I talked to one of the people who was instrumental in establishing this courtyard, Jim Kovac, who I believe has probably been retired for a decade now. Has it been? Or perhaps more. Anyway, I still see, he's Coach Kovac to me. I still see him at the football games. So we've talked about this actually before it even became a agenda item for me. We've talked about it a little bit. So we sat down for a while in my office last week and had a nice conversation. As a former science teacher and again the driving force behind this, I kind of wanted to ask him some questions. And I think that as you look through the options to save, getting a usable space I think is on everybody's list. Casey and I spoke about making sure that it's not only a usable space, but it's an accessible space. So when we start planning for that, we want to make sure that any kid, regardless of mobility, is able to get out there and enjoy it. Because if you've been there now, that's probably not the case. I would say that you are not going to take, for example, a wheelchair or any kind of walker out there right now. So we want to make sure that it's usable, we want to make sure that it's safe, and we want to make sure that it's accessible. So the 4 ideas that I had that will save about 60%, 75% in the ballpark, depending on what materials we would like to see. I've already had Joel Gallagher and Summer Crews start on tree and stump removal. And as you know, the big catch with that is the labor aspect of it, because everything has to be wheelbarrowed through the hall unless you want to get some type of crane that could go over the top, and that's pretty cost prohibitive. So the tree and stump removal is starting. I did speak with Ken Hoffman to make sure that we're taking the correct trees, because his plan initially called for leaving some of the trees. So we're going to get as many of those trees out of there this summer and the stumps removed as possible. The next step will be this fall is plant relocation by our summer crews and also the FFA, because as you look at it right now, what's been planted back there, it's been a moist enough environment. So for example, the hostas are a gold mine sitting there. So I'm going to talk with Mr. Rast, I've already warned him, Mr. Rasty and Mr. Hamas, that if we can get in there this fall and split those up and put them in pots and get them in the greenhouse, I would venture to say that would make a fortune for the FFA, and it would help start clearing things out so we can see what we're dealing with. Let's see, finally the brick walkway and patios to be installed by the summer crews. This is something that Joel and I met and talked about quite extensively. The thing about those brick patios and walkways is the main piece of it, and the reason for the huge expense is simply because it is so much labor. Wherever you see a brick patio, chances are they've removed anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of soil, and then they've replaced that soil with the rock and the brick. So it's a lot of hand work and a lot of labor. I had the landscaping business for 15 years, so I got pretty good at those things. I can kind of break it down and have kids doing certain things. And where our biggest cost estimate's going to come is the labor aspect, because if we start planning ahead for utilizing our summer crew, we've already got them, we've already got the line item for labor. If we work that particular walkway in, and since it's not a business, for example, like Outdoor Innovations would want to get in there and knock it out because the time is money philosophy. If we have our crew, even if we have 3 summer crew college kids in there working on it, it's a significant savings. And it's not going to be, okay, we want this done this week, because they're not the professionals who do it all the time. But they're going to have some guidance and they're going to have some supervision. And they're young and probably good on shovels and wheelbarrows. So we will take advantage of that. But by my estimate from Ken's plans, we've got just under 1,500 square feet of brick walkway and patio. So we've got a perimeter walkway around the courtyard. We've got a 16-foot square pavilion or square patio in the middle. And then we've got an 8-foot square patio on the west end, which is the, lack of a better term, the point of the pie in the courtyard. So the materials for that, and I have some books here that we can look through. I went out and saw my friends at King's Material. We've got a couple nice books here. You can probably spend anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 on the materials. Okay, this is a savings estimate of about $50,000 for having a contractor do it. And then it is the stamped concrete bid, I think, is 2 years old, and this would save about $20,000 over the stamped concrete bid. I personally would be a little reluctant to pour concrete in there, simply because concrete's guaranteed to do 2 things: it'll hard and crack, and then when you have a wet environment like that, if there's heaving and movement with pavers, you pick them up, regrade the rock, compact it, and lay them back down, and it's as good as new. Once that decorative concrete is cracked, it's cracked. So my recommendation would be to try to stick with something in the modular paver. And then finally, the last savings that we could look at is if we look at some kind of a prefabricated shelter that comes in a kit with a lot of aluminum parts. We are probably looking at about an $8,000 to $10,000 outlay, which is probably about a $10,000 to $12,000 savings over the custom vinyl ones that would be built on site. Okay. The summary that I have down below for approximately $35,000 over FY 25 and 26 fiscal years, we can have the clean look that we're all hoping for, and then we can have a space that can be turned over to be professionally maintained at the same intervals, for example, when Outdoor Innovations comes and does the front of the schools, because our curb appeal to schools is extremely good since Outdoor Innovations has started doing those things. So if we can add one more area to their expertise once we get this cleaned up, it would be good. Then the teachers who utilize it are literally only making sure that the kids are treating it as if it's another hallway. Pick up your garbage, don't slam into things, etc. Okay. Questions on that really fast spiel?
Good job cutting it down.
John was here, he'd be proud of you.
Yeah.
Good, good. And someone with more taste and sense of style than I, you can look through the County Materials Corporation and the Unilock Corporation. Those are kind of the two big dogs in terms of concrete pavers.
She's gonna be looking for breaks.
And since the guys at King's remembered me, I got contractor prices too, which I think is 27% off. So, there we go.
That's amazing.
Success.
And I got a 7-year-old.
They go, is this the same Carl Johnson that used to have such and such landscaping? I go, maybe. It's a bunch of wrestlers over there, yeah, watch it. So,
Awesome.
all right, let's see. Okay, I will keep everybody updated with how the tree removal goes. And finally, my last item is the first reading of the press policies. These are by and large required changes for state law. Believe it or not, there's some omissions in this packet, which is a lot of, as you look through, you'll see a lot of red with strikeout, which we always go for. And yes, that's awesome, because then we have thinner board policies. The item that says issue 115 bundles, this is kind of the nuts and bolts summary, and then if you have specific questions, you can dig into the actual policies to see what is being changed. Okay. As this is a first reading, there is no required adoption. It is just public information at this point in time.
Over to communication and correspondence. We already talked about the courtyard.
I want to pass on the new Tiger mascot logo voting, coupling together the students and staff, and the public input. 43% of respondents like number 1, 57% of respondents like number 2. The mean one. So, but there's also two views to that. So the profile and the side, the front on.
Both
So
are angry.
what's that?
Both are angry.
Both are angry.
Yeah, the big boys.
It's fierce, not angry. They're fierce, determined.
Okay. They might be scared.
It's not gonna be Daniel Tiger. It's not Daniel Tiger.
No.
Tony's on the cereal box, and that's the end of it. So.
Do you have anything on your boss?
Well, Tuesday was the last day for Christian, and so there'll be a new boss Ed, Kathy Waterburn. And I get to be VP.
Yay! All right.
There.
Casey's like, what? I did nothing.
Somebody must have,
Are you president
Well,
waiting?
it's Sue Ikes is the president. She volunteered to do it.
Oh, okay.
I said, thank goodness, because it doesn't look the greatest to be president of your former boss.
come on.
So, but yeah, so yay! But other than that, I mean, I think Kathy will do a great job. at Boss Ed. Still some personnel things dealing with, but other than that, I mean, it was a 20-minute meeting.
You keep them on task.
Move along, move along. I don't think there was, is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else, there's really nothing new.
Yeah, there's a couple of resignations
Yeah,
that were expected, so.
they went over, I mean, they're, oh my gosh, I'm on summer brain. Contract, they
Oh.
settled their negotiation
Yes.
for their contract, 3-year. Was it 4?
Similar to ours.
Yeah. So, that's good.
Good job, VP.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going by Pete. Alright. That's it. Madam. Madam VP.
Okay, any future agenda items? Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with 5 ILSC 120C, subsection C, subsection 1 through 12, 16, and 21.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made by Mrs. Lyons, second by Mr. Dominic, to go into closed session. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okey dokey.